Ever scroll through Pinterest and see something so inspiring that you just have to try it? That's exactly what happened to me today. I found a gorgeous piece that sparked an idea, and now I'm diving into layers, textures, and mixed media magic to bring my own version to life. Let's see where this inspiration takes us. So this is the pin that inspired me, a mixed media tag with Nuneka. We can enlarge this photo. There we go. Isn't that just such a beautiful, beautiful tag? So this is what I want to do. I will link this post below for you in the description box as well. There's even a blog post and a video on how to make this tag. And this is going to be my inspiration, and mine will probably look very different. So let's get started. So for my base, I'm going to use some watercolor paper. This one is 300 GSM. Let's cut it down a little bit. So how do I determine the width of this tag? I know that one of the main elements I want to use is this beautiful metal piece here. So by placing it here, I want to make sure that it doesn't get lost. So I don't want it to be too wide, but I also want to make sure it's not too narrow. This is a good width, I think. Next, I'm going to distress the edges because I don't want them to be as smooth as they are now. I have this distress tool by Tim Holtz, but you could just as easily use scissors, which actually might work better. Let's compare the two. So you just go around your edges. I'm not totally convinced by this tool, to be honest, so this is what I get. And if we try scissors, I actually think the edge looks nicer and it's easier to do. This makes it a lot rougher. I prefer this edge, to be honest. The next step will be to add some stenciling with some texture paste. I'm going to use this stencil here by Tim Holtz. It has the number THS 157. And I'm not going to add it over the whole tag, just more like here in the middle. And I'm using this structure paste, which has a fine sand inside, by a German company called Marabout. I like this one for stenciling because it is a bit coarse and it's quite heavy bodied. So with this one, I can always be sure that the design is going to stay as it is, because there's some texture pastes that are very soft and then you don't get the design as clear as if you have a heavy bodied structure paste like this one. I'm adding a little bit more here on the bottom where my metal piece is going to go. Oh yeah, that came out beautifully. So next I'm choosing my focal point to go on top of this metal frame. This is not dry yet. So I'm going to take one of these butterflies. So these are the framelits by Sizzix and Tim Holtz. They're called Flutter. And the number is 662269. I will link these for you below. And I have chosen this butterfly. It's one of the smaller ones because obviously I don't want to cover this beautiful frame too much. I'll probably turn it a little bit diagonally like this. And instead of paper, I'm going to use some fabric for my die. This is such a gorgeous, vibrant one. Look at this. It has all the colors. It's so cute. And it's called Playgrounds. And it's by Amaryllis Henderson. Also a new designer for me. Love it, love it, love it, especially for spring. As always, you can find the shop where I purchase these beautiful designer fabrics linked below in Germany. And I think I want maybe something from here. Like I would kind of actually love these here, but I'm reluctant to take a piece out of the middle of the fabric. That's also kind of a waste. Okay, I'll do something like this here. So we use the fabric just like we would a piece of paper. Oh no, usually this works. Okay, apparently we need like a paper or something in between to make it just a tiny bit thicker. You know what, let's change the magnetic board. Usually I do it with the regular board. Okay, so let's do it again with the standard board, which comes with the die cut machine, and then we'll put this one and then this one, and then that should work. So there was definitely more resistance this time. What is with this fabric? Usually this really works. I've done it with other fabric. Okay, it's going to just need a little bit of help, or a lot of help actually. That is so interesting. I guess it also depends on your fabric, although this is quite thin. Maybe a couple of pieces of paper underneath would have done the trick as well. Okay, so we have a fuzzy little butterfly. And then I decided I want this to blend more into the background, so I'm going to add some white gesso. Oh, I need to shake this. So this one is a fairly thick one. So this acts as a primer. So this has dried. As you can see, it's not completely white. I could add another layer, but I do want it to stand out a little bit. So I think this is the perfect amount of white gesso. And now if we add this butterfly on top, I don't actually like that it has such a soft texture because it's kind of just like drooping around my metal piece here. So I cut out the same butterfly from a white cardstock, and I'm going to glue my fabric on top so that I get the fabric look and texture, but I also get the stiffness of the cardstock. So that is a lot better. Yes, this is going to give me the stability that it needs. So next, let's glue on our metal piece. And I will clamp this down for a while until that glue grips. Then I was thinking about adding some feelers underneath this butterfly, and my first thought was to use some of these. These are actually meant for flowers, but they're great as antennae. So you could easily just fold them up like this. I think they look best if you have a loop down here like that. And then you just attach them underneath like that. But I just saw something even more fun. I still have these. This was part of the package that Louise, my dear friend Louise Heinzel, sent me for Defemember with the journal. So wouldn't those be fun elements to add instead of those antennae? They have wire in there, so you can easily bend it to suit your needs. I love it. How cool, and perfect that they're white. They're not going to stay white, but this is really good. So we need to also adhere these. This time I'll use my Beacon 3-in-1 glue, just because, I don't know, is it a bit stronger? Maybe. It also takes longer to dry, unfortunately. So this really needs to be clamped down well. Okay, so this has dried now. Yeah, this is not going anywhere. And now for the exciting part with the colors. So I'm going to keep this in mind, I want similar colors in the background. Let's first add some water, because I want these colors to be able to flow. I will start off with Distress Oxide Spray Saltwater Taffy. I think this goes together really well. Oof, this is always nerve-wracking. So I don't want it to go everywhere. I really just want it kind of concentrated in this area right here. Yeah. Let me take a paper towel and dab some of this away from the edges where I don't want it. I think that only works if you've sprayed water before. Otherwise, I don't think you can move it that easily. So I want to go from light to dark. So my next color is going to be Distress Mica Stain Sugary Gumdrop. Again, I'm taking it off from the edges a little bit. Let's go to the dark side. So getting more brave. This time I'm adding Cocktail Party, which is quite a bit darker. So the darker, the less I want. Really challenging. And I do want the color to be concentrated here the most. Wow, we have a lot of sprays on the edges. Even a little bit darker and more on the red side, we have Peppermint Stick. Oops, no. Oh no. Okay, let's add some here to even it out. That was not supposed to go there. Can we lighten it up? I don't know. Oh yeah, we can, a little bit at least. It's not going to go away completely, obviously. Let's do that here as well. And finally, moving completely to the dark side, we're going to use Fortune Teller. So this is a deep, deep purple. And since I'm a chicken, because of what just happened, I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to open this up and use my pipette so that I can regulate a lot better where this is going to go. Oh my goodness. Do you see that? Whoa, how amazing is this? Wow. So this is dry now. I don't like how these flowers are looking. You can still see some of the white coming through. So let's take the Mica Stain Sugary Gumdrop again. This time I'll just add some here on my mat and then take a brush and go over some of these parts that I don't like. And since we have some orange here in our butterfly, let's also add some orange. I have this Distress Spritz Spiced Marmalade. Again, very nerve-wracking. I'm going to push very gently. This will hopefully also add a little more sparkle. So once it's dry, we can see that it really went into the design here with the texture paste, and it looks more like gold than orange, but it gives it a beautiful shimmer. Love that. Let's add some more pink in with Picked Raspberry Distress Spritz. I'm not going to actually spritz it on. Let's first try it like this with the nozzle. I just want little accents. These could even go here on the white parts. Okay, we have this now, like the added pink shimmery dots as well. But what I'm lacking is a little more depth. I don't have any black Distress spray stain or anything like that, so I'm going to use some black acrylic paint. Thin that down. And see if we can get that just to run a little bit down the middle, basically. It's all very nerve-wracking. Okay, we're going to have to add some water. Oh no, that's spreading a lot. I do like how it's making it darker here in the middle. Okay, not quite what I had in mind, but it did add depth. The cool thing about the Distress Spritz is it will always be on top. So even though we added the acrylic paint on top of the spritz is still coming through as if it was the top layer. It is so cool. So now if we look at adding our little butterfly here, first of all, I love how it stands out because we have a darker background. But now these flowers, since they are the same color as the background, don't really serve well as antennae. So I am going to go back to adding the ones that I had originally thought of. We can just use a piece of tape for that. Yeah, I think that's a lot better. So let's glue this down. Always the question, which glue do you use, right? I'm going to take my art glitter glue and be done with it. Again, we need to clamp this down until that holds. Okay, so next I would like to edge this. I'm going to be brave and use Villainous Potion. Brave because for me this is such a scary color because it is so highly pigmented. And even though it's the same color we used in here, did we use this? We didn't even use this, did we? No. We used the Fortune Teller, which is not quite the same. So now I'm wondering, maybe should we try Seedless Preserves? No, I don't like it. I also have Dusty Concord. No. Okay, decision made. It is Villainous Potion. And I'm putting it directly on, not with a blending tool, because I want this to be very intense. Yeah, that was a good decision, I have the feeling. So I definitely need some more contrast here, so I want to add white splatters. The question is, will they stay white on this background? We will see. So these are not completely dry, but mostly, and as we can see, they didn't stay white. Yeah, I think these are also still going to change a little more. So obviously only on the butterfly, they are actually white. I do really want more white contrast, so what can we do? One solution could be to add some matte spray film. This is like a fixative. Alternatively, you can also use hairspray. So I'll take this to my balcony because this has a very strong smell. It's probably not very healthy. And spray this, and then we'll try the splatters again. So the fixative has dried. These have turned completely pink. So let's see if that made a difference. It should. So it's a couple hours later and I have air dried these, and as you can see, it's a mixture of white and pink. They're definitely more white than they were before, but they're not as white as I was hoping. Maybe it would have needed several coats of the fixative. I don't know. I'm gonna say this is fine. There is quite a bit of contrast here. So next I want to find a background for this, and I came up with 3 options. Number 1 would be this plain pink one. So we'll just have like a small border. That would work very well, I think. Number 2 would be this one, which has a pattern. Very cute. I might even like this one better. Yeah. And then we have a darker one. Totally different vibe. No, I'll go with the second one, the light one with the pattern. And for this, I'm choosing Collall Bookbinders glue because I know this is really strong. And that's what we need because I want to make sure this does not come off with time. This is very, very thick. The great thing about this glue is it grabs instantly. If I were to do this, for example, with the Beacon 3-in-1, this takes a lot longer to grab. So that would make this particular job very difficult. Glue is really its own science. I don't even need to clamp it down. It is sticking instantly. Then I also want to add a sentiment here on top. I'm going to use A Beautiful Day Begins with a Beautiful Mindset. And this is, again, from this sticker set by Studio Light, Janine's Mindful Art Collection Essentials with the number JMAESSTIC07. And since this is obviously very uneven, I need to first mount the stickers onto some cardstock. And then I need to figure out how to cut it to make it flow here. It's actually not so easy. I don't want any of the lines to be too long. I might have to do each word separately. And finally, I'm going to add some black splatters as well because I still want a little more contrast. I should have done that before I added the sentiment, but we'll just do our best. Yeah, should have totally done that before. It is what it is. We can still read it. But it needed those black splatters. So I'm going to call this done. Enjoy experimenting with your own products, whatever they might be, and have fun with this. Love you guys. Mwah! Mwah!